Loyola University for World Scientists to do with the brain chip.
Okay.
Came Newt Gingrich, he was handing out that third way. In that book by Alvin Toffler, it says, we shall create a vegetarian world, and it must be so. He doesn't tell you why it must be so. He says it must be so.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Exactly. So it's all these kinds of on every small little level there are these ideas on where to steer people into, even if it's they implement it through a fashion or through a threat or whatever it might be. But
New Age too. It's been pushed through the New Age for a long time, vegetarianism.
Sure.
And yet they copied that from the Brahmanistic idea of India, because the Brahmins advocated that for a religion, and the public accepted it, and you see the malnourished, very thin and stunted growth, not too bright people at the bottom there that have been brought up in a very, not just a vegetarian diet, it's also a restricted type of vegetarian diet. Because once they've got you all vegetarian, now you're on the modified vegetables. That's all they will allow, and gradually they'll exclude certain types of proteins from your meals, so you can't even get beans anymore.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the other side to all of this, that you have the GMO being implemented on this level too, which of course, everything from basically poisons you and changes even your DNA to actually, being more, not enough nutrition basically in the food itself. So that's a high, risk, as it were, that I see.
All warfare, you go for the main infrastructure. Food is first, and water. Food and water. Down through thousands of years, go for the food and the water. And when you realize that what they use, and they use this in fish too. I saw a program on television here from the Ministry of Fisheries in Canada, and they had these water troughs going past workers standing next to these little, very small machines, and they picked up a fish every couple of seconds, just touched it against this little thing, which used insufflation, like the Star Trek device for injections. It doesn't break the skin, but it gives a high force through, and it forces through E. coli, which is used to go in deep within the DNA, and the E. coli carries the new DNA structure, and therefore when every cell of that fish dies off, as all cells do, and as it's renewing, the new DNA attached to the E. coli takes over and then completely recreates the fish. They've been doing this for years, and here we are, we're getting all these modified foods, still with the same DNA structure attached with all the different coli inside it, by the way. They're still active, and we're being bioengineered.
Yeah, that's a scary thought, that's for sure. Exactly, that's why I also think that actually growing your own food and actually again, learning how to plant something, how to grow something, becoming more in tune with nature. I see this as a kind of a key part, a key component to all of the information and learning about all of this stuff. Also, learning how to plant and how to grow something. I think that's one of the best things you actually could do in a time like this. What do you think? In a time like that, there's no doubt about it. Although I do see the day where they'll forbid you to even have a garden. And they'll call it antisocial if you're trying to feed yourself. In the system that's coming up, you're supposed to be interdependent. Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be law. Yeah, and people are going to demand it too. Yeah, sure. You'll find the city people will. They're the easiest ones to go along with. Exactly. But still, we're not at that level, and people still can own land, fortunately, and we can still grow our own food, and that's I think that's a good idea, something to strive for. Get a hold of the old unmodified seeds. There are a few companies left that as far as we know, they have the unmodified seeds. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to hook up with some of the indigenous people somewhere and get like the CIA did, I think, when they bought some seeds from the native Indians when they're going to store seeds in one of their underground facilities, and then they didn't went for the supermole seeds or whatever. They got to the real source, the Native Americans, and bought corn seeds from them. Yes,
What we have to understand is, see, the public of the world are under attack. It's a war. It's a total war we're under. We have to realize that for the first time and really snap out of it. Big companies like Monsanto made secret deals with the Canadian government. Now, I've no doubt they did it with other governments too, to test out the GMO foods on the Canadian public without the consent or knowledge of the Canadian public. That's been admitted to now in Canada. So we were all guinea pigs. And how could a democratically elected government, it shows you're not democratic, you see, how could they possibly enter into a secret deal with a corporation, an international corporation, to test out the most important thing in your life, apart from water, is food for survival. But they did it for 10 years before it broke out from Britain by chance that we were the guinea pigs. And so we're not under democracy. And what you've got to realize is Monsanto and the big boys, who are obviously authorized by the same high group in the world to be the front leaders in this, Monsanto has been grabbing all of the grain and seed of pretty well everything that had never been patented before, and using a loophole which they made sure was in the law, because the law system works for them too. Because it hadn't been patented before, no one had thought they just passed seeds on for hundreds and hundreds of years. They're putting patents on all the existing seed, including the unmodified stuff. So when you start to get that seed and grow it, they can come on your land and say, hey, that's our seed, we own the patents to that. You have no right to grow that stuff.
Really? And the original stuff too? I thought it was just the seeds that, or the plants that they actually changed something in.
For 5 years now, every day there's dozens of varieties of seeds simply haven't been patented. They're doing it every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Sheesh, yeah, there we go. So I can demand interest on that later, or...
That's right.
Oh my God, yeah, exactly.
So we're under world attack here.
Yeah. Oh my God. Alan, I just want to run this by you before we run things up here for this time. Al Gore, winning the Nobel Prize. What do you think about that?
The gory man, eh? Yeah. Well, the gory man there didn't surprise me because his father and ones before him were basically trained by Armand Hammer. Armand Hammer was a big player for the elite in his day. He had his own offices across from the White House, and he also had